Had absolutely no idea that magic mushrooms could help depression, trauma, PTSD. It's not the trauma itself.
Yeah.
It's about your reaction to it.
It's
about the protection, the mechanisms,
Yeah.
the humanness of the stuff that happened inside you as a result of that. You can't avoid living. And that's what you're doing when you're constantly people pleasing, when you're constantly looking outside of yourself for the answers. And you're constantly looking at other people to validate you and what you're doing. You are always going to keep yourself small. And I'm sat in there thinking, ooh, something happened to me today. Something shifted. I had this unbelievable sense of calm that I've never experienced in my life. I've never experienced anything like it. I just sat in this hot tub and went, something cracked me open today, and I have no idea what happened there. Those moments where you triggered, where you would have been triggered and you're no longer triggered to the same extent.
Totally agree.
Are the moments where you go, this is where I've changed.
Yeah, because skin isn't just skin. It's your story, and I'm here for it. I'm Kelly Saynor. Are you ready for some barefaced chat? I want to introduce everybody that's listening and watching to this incredible person that sat in front of me today. I know that during this session, I will laugh and cry in equal measures because I've never had a relationship with another woman, not just from the retreat, but we didn't know what to expect before we got there. And we formed a connection that is just, I didn't think you could do that. You meet women but you have your friends sort of set. You meet some people, but they never become a part of the circle that you want. And I want you. Sounds weird.
I want you too.
It's not that kind of session. Anyway, let me introduce you in the way that I feel I need to introduce you to people that have never met you, because they need to hear about your background, because you're so interesting and you've done such a lot, let alone write a book. I mean, who just like, I've written a book. So it's just, yeah, amazing. Just well done you. But I want to tell everybody why. So every now and again, life throws somebody at you who makes you feel like home. And even though you've only known them for 4 days at this point and spent most of that time crying, laughing, healing and plunging into waterfalls. And that's exactly what happened when I met today's guest on Caroline, who is my coach's retreat. Those days were the most transformational days for me ever. And I know Becky shares a similar view. But two mutual friends said to us before we even went, you two are going to get on, which was unbelievable. We texted each other, dropped a few F-bombs, which like instantly relaxed us.
That's my girl.
It's like, phew. But nobody could have ever predicted that we would go from strangers to feeling like soul family within a week. And it feels like we did. But I think for me, like meeting a partner or meeting somebody that means something, when you know, like they say, what meeting your future husband or whatever. And I never thought I'd say that about another woman or another human that has only just come into my life, because life doesn't teach you to do that. You have to hold back, you have to wait, but that's not what that ceremony was about either, that retreat. It was about being open to everything. And that's what you did. So she's not just a friend. She's now one of my best pals and somebody that I would show up for in any hour. And now she's going to be my wing woman at our new International Women's Day that's coming up, which will be amazing. So this is Becky. She's a trauma-informed transformational coach, copywriter, author, and one of the wisest, warmest and funniest, most spiritually plugged in women that I think you will ever meet. She helps people unlearn people-pleasing, which is something that I've lived my entire life, understand their trauma, find their voice, and finally make themselves feel like themselves again, which is what you have done along your journey. She's written a book. Of course she has. It's called 5 Steps to Awakening from the Inside Out. And it's the roadmap that she wished she had earlier in life. And she speaks her full truth in it and allows everybody else to find their truth. But not only that, it all started from a Psilocybin ceremony that cracked everything wide open for you. Today, we're going to be talking about trauma, truth, awakening, identity, sisterhood, and what it means to become true soul sisters. Thank you so much for joining me. You're amazing and inspirational, and you don't realise who you are.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And God, what an intro. Blimey. I feel very emotional right now.
You're amazing.
I think, but right back at you. So all of that, like, I completely agree that especially when you're in your 40s, you get to middle age, it's hard to meet new friends.
Yeah.
It's hard. You've got your little tribe already. To meet somebody who you just connect with, literally from the first text, I was like, this girl is like the person.
Yeah.
And then when we got in the car, literally, 2.5 hours to the retreat, we just didn't stop. You had my whole life from birth to 44.
Which I loved, because that's what I when I meet somebody I want, and you kind of get a bit let down when they just go, no, I'm good. We'll stop there.
Yeah.
You didn't stop there.
No.
We went the whole 9 yards, which I was like so thankful for. Tell me about the retreat. We'll get into it in a bit more into a bit more depth, but that's where we met.
Yeah.
So what took you on it? I know Caroline handpicked us, but what made you? Because you've done retreats.
Mm-hmm.
What was it about this one?
Something just called me to it. You know, I'd done a lot of work beforehand. I've been to different retreats, but it felt like it dropped in at exactly the right time for me. I'd gone through a bit of a journey. I'd lost some friends that maybe weren't quite aligned, which was really hard. And I felt a bit lonely.
Yeah.
It's a bit lonely when you go through a bit of a journey and a healing journey. And when Caroline called me up, and this is before she'd even really organised anything.
Yeah.
She just said, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think? I'd love you to be there.
Wow.
It's a VIP list.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God,
I'm
be
in.
there.
Yeah,
I'm
down.
in. I didn't even have to think about it. Have my money.
Yeah.
So that was really it. And it was transformative.
Yeah.
There is no other way to describe that 4 days that we spent there other than we were meant to be there. Those people that were there were meant to be at the retreat.
I mean, everybody says, don't they, at that retreat, still, these women, we all get together online and whatever, and it still resonates.
Yeah.
Like, and Caroline said it was like a spiritual big brother.
Yes.
And I kind of know what she means, because we were so cocooned and I had no expectation whatsoever. You were like a seasoned pro for me. I was like, she's done retreats before. Like, this is new for me. What do we do? What do we eat? Can we have Prosecco?
To be fair though, I had done retreats, but this felt on a different level.
Yeah.
You know, I'd done retreats with, you know, maybe friends or even on my own.
Yeah.
But this felt like a different level. It felt like a real sort of soul, this is my tribe now.
Really?
This is it. This is what I've been looking for throughout this journey of craziness and like I say, losing people and changing and being up and down. And it just felt like, it felt a little bit like I'd been stuck on a mountaintop going, where is everybody?
Oh my gosh.
And then suddenly, there they are.
100%.
This is what I've been looking for.
Kelly
was what I was looking for.
Girl, I honestly, like, when you'd been a season pro, like, there was another girl there, Vicky, and she was like, I've never done this before. What do we do? And I think we're all a bit like that. But because you had done a retreat, but then I don't think this retreat you could have put you didn't know what to expect.
No.
Any retreat, I suppose. Because we didn't really get told, did we, what was really happening?
No.
So for me, it was like, okay, holding space for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You'd learn you were like, no, it's fine. I feel all right, actually. I'm okay. And when we said on the way there, do you remember? I was like, do you not feel guilty? And you're like, well, I used to. But actually, this is time for me as well. And that allowed me just that like, relax. So thank you for that. You know, when we talked about in the car, like because you were like, I'm just going to say it. It was where, you talked to me about your beginning. And the beginning was the Psilocybin ceremony.
Mm.
Let's just unpack that, because this is big for you.
Yeah. It was huge. It was a bit of an accidental psilocybin ceremony. Who does that? I mean, maybe there's a little bit of a backstory there. So I had a daughter a little bit later on in life, and it was through COVID. And it was a bit of a tough time, so we say. You know, everybody had a tough time.
Yes. Yeah.
Everybody had a tough time.
Yeah.
But being pregnant, we were moving house, and I definitely had postnatal depression.
Yeah.
And for me, I didn't realise at the time it wasn't so bad that I was freaking out every 2 seconds. It was just this low level depression that I felt like I couldn't get my head off the pillow some days, and I was putting a smiley face on, but inside I just felt a bit dead. I felt a bit empty, and I was just kind of going through my days. My sister, Jade, who is 10 years younger than me, had gone through her own healing journey and was very much into the kind of the woo, if you like.
Yeah.
I was not at this stage into any of the woo. We just say this, I had my friends that certainly were, and I was a little bit like, that's a bit weird, I'm not sure about that. And was quite, I suppose, I was a little bit judgmental of it, really. I suppose I was a little bit like,
we do.
What is that?
Absolutely.
That's not for me.
Yeah.
I'm very much over in this camp.
Yeah.
And my sister, bless her, had said to me, like, you're not doing very well. I can see that you're not doing very well. You might be putting on this act for the rest of the world. And we went for a walk, and she invited me to this psilocybin retreat. So for anybody that doesn't know what psilocybin is,
that's good.
It's magic mushrooms.
Yeah.
And I had absolutely no idea that magic mushrooms could help depression, trauma, PTSD. As far as I was concerned, it was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to swear on this?
Absolutely.
I'll go along with my sister, A, for the company, and B, because I just thought, well, what harm's it going to do?
Yeah.
We might have a bit of a giggle.
Yeah. There's a major trend of microdosing mushrooms anyway, like.
Yeah,
major.
Absolutely.
But carry on.
Absolutely. But I had zero idea
of what
this was going. I genuinely went along to spend some time with my sister, have a bit of a laugh. Didn't think anything of it. And went along to this ceremony, which was held. There was about 9 other women and the facilitator. And it was, and this is the weirdest thing, that actually I didn't know where it was going to be held, turn up, and it's held in Bury in Manchester, which is where I was born. So it was a bit like this whole
coming back home.
It was very strange. But at the time, I didn't know that it was going to be very strange. I walk in, it's just a normal house with mats around the living room, and we spent the whole day preparing for this psilocybin journey.
Okay.
We went outside into the garden. We did a bit of shaking, which I was a bit like, oh, the neighbours watching. This is a bit weird. Bearing in mind, didn't do the woo. Didn't do the woo. So everybody looked, and everybody seemed like they knew what they were doing. So some people had been there before, some people had done it, or they were a lot further on in the journey than I was. Yeah. So nobody seemed to think this was weird, and I'm shaking along in the garden. This is thinking this is really weird. Anyway,
I would have done the same.
We stood around in this semicircle, and everybody the facilitator asked everybody to write down on a piece of paper their intention, why they were there, what they wanted to get out of this psilocybin journey. We're going around and everybody's saying what their thing is. And I'm stood there thinking, I haven't got the foggiest clue. Why the heck am I here?
100%.
And it came to me and it literally just dropped. And I swear to God, I didn't think it. It just came out of my mouth. I am here to heal my inner child.
What the fuck?
You couldn't get more woo, right?
No.
From somebody that's not woo.
Down the line. You go, what is an inner child? Like you're going like smashing it. Inner child's going, let me out. Oh my God.
Oh, what?
That's crazy.
Yeah. And when I said it, it was like my whole being just knew that that's why I was there.
Wow.
I was there to get better. I was there to heal something. It was just the strangest sensation of that wasn't me talking. That was what I now understand your higher self to be.
Oh my God.
It just dropped in.
This is what blew me away when you told me the first time. I fucking love this story because it still keeps me goosebumps. You could tell it me over and over again. It still gives me, I'm like, tell me some more.
It gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
It gives me goosebumps because it just resonates so much.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that it actually happened, but it did. And all of these synchronicities, which I now understand were synchronicities, to get me there in the first place. I was meant to be there, Kel, 100%.
100%.
And we did a bit more shaking. And at this point, I'd kind of gone, okay, well, I'm just going to let it go. And I looked down. I felt this like real wiggly sensation on my bare feet. Because it was the summer when we were outside, and I looked down, and I swear to God, there was about 6 worms all around my feet. I obviously freaked out.
Were you worm charming?
But nobody else had these worms around their feet. And the woman came over, the facilitator came over to me, Ashley, amazing lady. She came over and she's carefully picking these worms up, and she's saying something to them, like thanking them. I was like, why are you thanking them? They were all on my feet. That was a bit weird. She said, this is a sign. This is a new beginning. Earthworms are the sign of a rebirth, of a new beginning. You know, human me is going, what the fuck are you talking about?
Thanking worms on my
Get
feet.
these bloody worms 100%. Off my feet.
Yeah. We've gone magic roundabout like now, haven't we? We've gone full fucking magic roundabout.
Yeah,
like,
completely.
Cuckoo.
It was cuckoo.
Yeah.
So we go inside and we do a bit more of, intention setting and journaling. This wasn't like a rock up, take some drugs and go home. Thanks very much. This is a real life ceremony. The woman who runs it, she's gone over to Peru and trained. And
wow.
In the West, we just don't do this sort of thing. But, all over the world, there's all of this knowledge and all of this deep knowledge about how we help people through their traumas. But like I say, I didn't go in there thinking I had any.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I didn't go in there with an agenda at all. But I came out with what was the start of a completely different person.
You know, when people talk about, just wanted to talk about something there with you, just because, I don't know, I think you and I might be able to just like unpack it a bit. You know, people talk about the intention. So my last guest, Sam, that was on, talked about intention. I've always found that word really difficult because I don't know what it is in the moment. What do you want to get at? I don't know. I'm just here because I want to. You do know. You just can't always verbalize it.
I think that's it. And I didn't know until I stood there.
Yeah.
And it just came out.
Yeah.
I had absolutely no idea, but it was a full body yes. It was a full body, this is why I'm here.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes in life we don't know what we need until it literally just lands in, and I think we can strive and we can push to try and know.
Yeah.
But actually it can just drop in, and it does just drop in when it's needed to, but you've got to give it that space.
When you journal and like, I don't know, you might say, what's your intention for today? I'm like, be happy. I sort of overthink it. Do you sometimes overthink it?
Yeah, absolutely. And who doesn't? We're all human. We, especially when you're deep thinkers, if you're an overthinker, which I now realise can actually be a trauma response. But
okay. Yeah. We'll go into that.
But it can. You almost overthink, you think your way out of it. You're not using your intuition.
Okay.
You're using up here.
I see.
But you're not using in here.
Okay.
And it has to come from here.
Yeah.
So that's where I come with it. And I don't journal very often, to be honest, because of that.
Okay.
Because unless there's something that drops in and I go, I've got to write this down, I can't force myself.
Yeah.
In fact, I can't force myself to do anything. I am so ADHD in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, I have to just do it at the moment that it's there.
So true.
I'm just not a very organised person in that sense at all.
So true. Oh my God, that's so interesting for the both of us. Like, how interesting, the psilocybin ceremony. I would love to do something like that. At that moment then, when you talked about your inner child, did you know that was trauma?
No.
When did you know that you had suffered with trauma? And there's something that you suffer with, that other people suffer with that they don't understand, which is CPTSD, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's complex.
That's right.
Okay. So can you talk a bit about what trauma is? Yeah.
So there's a really famous quote from a guy called Gabor Mate. And I hope I'm saying his name right.
Yeah, I think he's amazing.
He's incredible. And his quote is, trauma isn't what happens to you. It's a result of what happened. It's a result of what happens inside you.
Okay. Yeah.
As a result of what happened to you.
Yeah.
So to unpack that a little bit further, it's not the it's not the trauma itself.
Yeah.
It's about your reaction to it.
Got
It's
you.
about the protection, the mechanisms,
Yeah.
the humanness of the stuff that happened inside you as a result of that. And so it's what it leaves you with as
Got
a
you.
person.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Okay, that makes complete sense. People that are suffering with or have been through traumatic experiences, they can unlearn that, right? Or is it about living with it?
You're never going to forget.
Okay.
Well, I say you're never going to forget. I forgot for a long time.
You said something really interesting on the retreat, and you said something like, I was walking around not knowing who I, like pretending.
Yeah.
How did you say it? You said it was so interesting. You'd forgotten who you were, like living a sort of lie.
Yeah, definitely. I had so many traumas, I think, that you lose the sense of who you are at your core.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like I was wearing masks, constantly wearing masks. This person needs me to be that person now.
Right.
That person needs me to be that person in that sense. It was like I was constantly picking up this mask, putting that one down, putting this one, this person, and you lose... I didn't have a strong sense of self.
Right. Okay. That's really interesting.
And that is what CPTSD can do to you.
Okay.
You're living, but you're surviving, you're not thriving.
Got you. So some people will just be in constant survival.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was how I
really
was for a long, long time.
Gosh, that's exhausting.
Absolutely exhausting. I didn't realise that is what was going on for me. Your brain is incredible. It's an incredible thing. It tries to keep you safe no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
If you've had traumas, usually in your childhood, in your adolescence, that you have not had the skills to be able to process because you're too young, what your brain does is it puts those traumas to the back of your brain.
Of course.
It exiles them, basically.
It can't possibly deal with them all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It can't function. So the way to keep you sane and alive is it hides them away. It keeps them away. But what happens is it never fully goes. Unless you've processed them and you've worked through them, it's always sitting there in your subconscious.
Okay.
And throughout life, what happens is something will come along and it will trigger that memory. And your very clever brain will go, we can't go there. We cannot go back to that memory. She's not able to cope. Because what happens is, let's say you're 6 years old, something happens to you, 7 years old, something happens to you. That trauma memory stays at that age. It doesn't know you've got any older. It doesn't know that you're now a 44-year-old woman and is able to cope. It just knows that it can't ever let you remember what's really happened.
I see.
So what happens in that sense is that it will come in and it will give you a lot of protectors. So it will, we can't let her go back there. We're going to make her drink. We can't let her go back there. We're going to numb her out by smoking, drinking, watching telly, scrolling, overeating.
Yeah, doing drugs, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is. And I was all of those things. Overthinking. If you're overthinking, you can't ever remember. If you're plugged into something all of the time, if you're walking on the field, but you can't ever do it without a podcast in.
I see.
If you can never just be with yourself, you're never going to remember.
Oh, God, that's so interesting.
It's so clever. And we can't beat ourselves up for our brains doing that because all they're trying to do is keep you safe. Your brain doesn't care about happy.
Yeah.
It cares about safe.
Okay. Yeah.
And so when
happy is something we induce.
Happy is something we induce.
See.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
First and foremost, your brain and your body are there to keep you safe. And it thinks that if we go back there and we remember those things, you're not safe.
Right, I see. And that must come from really, really early, like ancestral caveman days where all we cared about was safety, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a really innate response.
Yeah.
We just go safe, shut down, whatever, and then our response to take over. That's so fucking fascinating. I remember doing some training and one of the things that we had to learn about communication skills was when the other person played their tape. So there was like parent tape, an adult tape, a child tape. And I thought it was interesting because if you understood which tape you were in, you could then respond with the opposite tape, or like go into, I think like if somebody goes, oh, you might sit in your adult tape and say, actually, or if your response is to just instantly go into adult tape, the other person kind of reacts as inner child, like they'll play their inner child tape. Is it a similar thing with us as humans then? Are you stuck in can you be different things? Like, is that adult you, inner child you? Like
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the way that I look at it is, like I said before, whenever you're triggered to something that reminds you of a memory of when you were 6, 10, 14, you behave like you did or like you would.
Yeah.
You go back to your inner child.
Yes. Yeah. Which
is why you might, so if you ever overreact and afterwards you think, oh God, why did I do that?
Yes.
That's because you've gone back.
Yeah.
You've gone back to 6, 10, 14 years old.
Okay.
Your brain that part of your brain hasn't learned that you've grown up now and you know how to cope. It just reacts. It's a reaction.
So we're all children basically in adult bodies.
Well, absolutely. Because we are, aren't we? You know, if we think about the oak tree doesn't lose the fact that it was ever an acorn.
No.
It's been different ages and it's had different environments affect it throughout that time. And the way that I look at it is we have these, so a modality that I'm learning at the moment is called internal family systems.
Yeah.
And internal family systems works on the basis of we're born and we are whole, we are pure. We have no traumas, you know, you might have had a birth trauma at that point, but, you know, in general, we are your core self.
Yeah.
And then as we age, you're certainly in childhood, we then learn our attachment styles.
Yeah.
So, for example, like my biological dad left when I was 3 months old. My attachment style was, well, people leave.
Yeah.
People leave.
Yeah.
And whilst I, of course, couldn't remember that at 3 months old, it doesn't mean that it's not stored within your body and your brain. And, you know, people leave.
Yeah.
That's that was a core belief of mine.
Yeah.
And as a child, you don't see that as somebody else having issues. You see it as your fault.
I see.
You take these things in
because it's happened to you.
Because it's happened to you.
So you're trying to make sense of it. I see.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think as we get older, all of these things happen and we make them, the story we tell ourselves is it's my fault.
Yeah.
It's my fault that my dad left. It's my fault that I was bullied in school. You know, you don't look outwardly and go, well, actually, they've obviously got issues and it was never about me in the first place.
Yes.
You absorb these things and you take them on as your issue.
So true. And that's, when you say that, the story I tell myself, that is so interesting. I think more people need to like appreciate that. This is a story. It's not actually the truth.
Absolutely.
And we talked a bit when we were on the retreat because I was reading a book called The Courage to Be Disliked, and the Adlerian theory that opposes the Freudian theory of the trauma doesn't exist. That's very blunt. Trauma does exist, but he challenges the notion that trauma defines you. And I get that because it doesn't have to define you. And what you've done is like stare trauma, like in the face, especially because of the ceremony you went to. I'm basically like giving it the 2 fingers. Basically.
Yeah, I think what happens during a psilocybin ceremony, and I'm not saying, by the way, that if you've got trauma, a psilocybin ceremony is the answer. You know, there are so many other modalities that you can try if psilocybin isn't your thing. It just happened to be my thing, and it happened to work for me.
So you went, had this experience, and then did you go, did you know what it was? Did you know what you had to unlearn? You were there to heal your inner child.
No, I didn't know. So I think when you're going through a psilocybin journey, it's so hard to describe. You're literally lying there with your mask on. I had this huge, I took the chocolate, it was in chocolate form. And I'm lying there waiting for all these pretty patterns and I don't know, things dancing on the ceiling or what have you. And she said, oh, it'll take about up to 20 minutes to work. And I'm lying there listening to the music that they've got playing. It's all very soft, sort of meditation type music. We'd done some breath work before. And I'm lying there with my mask on, surrounded by these other women. And all of a sudden, I was thinking to myself, well, this isn't bloody working. Well, 150 quid down the blinking Swanee here. And the next thing I knew, I had this huge flash of white light behind my mask, to the point that I was like, has somebody just taken a photo? But I wouldn't have seen it. It was a big, thick mask. No. And from that moment on, it was the weirdest thing. And everybody's experience is so different, but this was mine. From that point on, I became the white light. I was the white light watching my whole childhood play out before my eyes. And my childhood, my adolescence, and the bullying I'd received, and, a million other things that were not great. And don't get me wrong, I had a lovely childhood.
Yeah,
there was so many good things. Yeah. But there were things that affected me and that I hadn't worked through.
Yeah.
And I saw this whole thing play out in front of my eyes behind the mask. I had never cried so much in my life. Like, the sobs that were coming out of me, they didn't want to stop. I was just absolutely breaking my heart. And I was in that state but in the weirdest way, it was like I just knew that this had to happen. It had to happen. And even the bad things weren't coming up, by the way. I had this, it was like this whole play out of my childhood and my adolescence just going through my mind. But the bad stuff hadn't come up at that point. It's not like I was reliving a nightmare. It's not like I was reliving the bad stuff. It was just, my subconscious was opening. Yeah. There was no two ways about it. And I was being helped by this facilitator that was there, and she was sort of holding me and rocking me like a baby. It was extremely powerful. And I couldn't stop crying. It was like I'd held everything in for 40 odd years, and suddenly the release was just insane. It was incredible. I didn't know that I'd been under for 4 hours. I genuinely felt that I had been lying on that mat for half an hour.
Really?
The time just disappeared. It went. It was just amazing. So to go back to your question, did I know that I'd gone there to say up yours to trauma? Absolutely not. And it wasn't until I got home that evening and literally sat in the hot tub. It's a blow up hot tub. We're not that posh, but
it's a hot tub. It's a hot tub.
And I'm sat in there thinking, ooh, something happened to me today. Something shifted. I had this unbelievable sense of calm that I've never experienced in my life. I've never experienced anything like it. I just sat in this hot tub and went, something cracked me open today, and I have no idea what happened there. I think a week later, I literally just sat there in my living room and remembered stuff that I had been suppressing for decades. God. For decades. Do you know what? I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it because it's. Please. If I'm talking to people about trauma, it's only fair that I 100%. Talk about mine. I went on holiday when I was 14 with my family, and it was in Turkey, and I got sexually assaulted. God, when I was 14.
Thank you for sharing that. Because I think other people.
Yeah, and this isn't trauma dumping. It's just to give my story over. This is the stuff I'd been burying. Yeah. Or part of the stuff I'd been burying for 28 years. That holiday, if you can call it a holiday, I was taken to the authorities. The authorities in Turkey did not want to be on my side. They victim shamed me so badly. It was because of what I was wearing. It was because I'd gone out. It was because I was, I don't know, a woman.
Because.
Just because. But as a 14-year-old girl, my mum wasn't allowed to be in the room with me. And they laid it all on me. It was all my fault. I'd done this, I'd done that. It was just horrific. And the shame, oh my God, the shame.
So not only did you have to deal with the actual episode, the actual attack, if you like, what happened to you, you also had to deal with the shame and the guilt around it as well. That's like a layer on top.
Yeah. Oh my God. I would go as far as to say that the event itself was traumatic. It was horrific. Of course it was. It was awful. It was almost worse not being, after being believed, being told that if it did happen, it was my fault. It just, I think something inside me massively died at 14. Gosh. At that point. Wow, it was tough. It was really, really tough.
That's horrible.
And your whole being then becomes almost shame-based.
Yes, that's kind of your inner mantra now, isn't it? In a way, that's your like narrative, like the story I tell myself. That's your inner voice. So that will sit with you a lot, I guess. But you have to make sense of that going forward. You have children, you know. You wrote a book, so okay, let's move from there to the book then. So like, this happened at 14. How the fuck do you get to writing a book?
It's a good question. It's a good question. So as these memories were coming back from me, I was desperate. I was like, who do I talk to about this? I had genuinely not spoken to. We came off that holiday. Nobody spoke about it again for 28 years. You know, this is not a judgment on my mum. She didn't know what to do. She was like, let's just pretend it didn't happen and move on. Yes. Doesn't work like that. And, you know, of course, we just brush it onto this and we just get on with it. Yeah. And also, you know, way back when, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have what we could do now. No. Like, what do I do if my daughter goes through this? What do I do if I go through this? So we didn't have that. No. So what's the best thing to do? Well, of course, it's let's just pretend it didn't happen and hope it goes away. But it stays within you. It stays inside. So as these memories are coming back to me, I was like, who do I talk to about this? I've not spoken this out loud for 28 years. Who do I talk to about this? One of the weirdest things, along with a huge long list of weird things, I literally sat there and went, I don't know who to talk to about this. And I had this really strong urge to look in my junk folder, in my emails. I never look in who looks in their junk folder? No one does. You know, and there is an advert from a lady in Alsager, who's a counsellor, who was running this 6-week course specifically for women who had been assaulted. Oh, God. You couldn't make this shit up, Gal, honestly. You couldn't make it up. So I was like, oh, that's it. That's the one. It happened to be on a day that I could do. It started literally a few days later. And it was what I needed at that time. It sorted that part out. You know, it sorted that part out. And so how do I get from that to writing a book? Amazing. Well, I think at this point I realised there was something going on for me. You know, things were starting to get really strange for me. Not only was things dropping into my inbox when I'm intuitively looking in my junk folder, things were starting to feel very strange in my world. Like, I would go outside and there would be rubbish on the floor and I literally couldn't leave it there. I had to pick it up. I couldn't not be outside. Wow. I needed to be outside all of the time. My husband was like, why are you outside again? I was like, I just need to go for another walk. I needed solitude. I needed time to just be on my own. And things were really starting to shift and memories were coming back to me. Not just that, but so many other things to look at and heal and deal with. Gosh. And for me as a writer, which is what I've always done, if something feels uncomfortable and I need to work it out, I write about it. So I just started writing. I was like, things are really going really weird for me. At this time, I didn't, you know, I call it an awakening on my book now, but I didn't realise that that's what this was. I was just like, this is fucking weird. Like, I need to get this out and down. It started off journaling, really. And it wasn't really until I sort of got halfway through the book and thought, this is a book. This could help people that are going through this very strange journey and thinking they're going crazy, whereas actually it's a spiritual awakening. Wow. There's no two ways about it. This is me coming back to myself again, peeling off those layers of trauma and conditioning that I had been living with for 40 odd years.
It's unbelievable. It's such an accolade. Like, it's such an accolade. I cannot wait to actually read it. At what point did you add in trauma coaching?
That's only been a kind of a new thing. Not a new thing, but I think it's always been that. What I realise now is that the whole journey of my life has been leading up to trauma coaching.
Yeah.
I'd just not known it.
Yeah.
You know, everything I've gone through, everything I've healed, everybody I've met.
Yeah.
You're all here.
Yeah.
As I think everybody is in life, once we get onto this path, to teach us something, to put us exactly where we're supposed to be. And what an empowering feeling that is, you know, that you go, this didn't happen to me, it happened for me. Would I rather that turkey didn't happen? Of course I would, you know, but it's put me on this path now.
100%.
And it's given me that purpose in life, because I think that you can't help anybody else properly until you've been through something like that yourself, until you've gone through stuff.
You need an awareness, don't you?
You need an awareness, and you can sit there and you can sympathise. You can't empathise. No. And there's a difference.
100% agree with that. People talk about writing books being like a major thing.
Yeah.
Did you obviously have to find a publisher? Like, what? You don't just write a book, babe. But you did. Like,
it was an accidental book, Kel. Everything in life is like an accident for me. I just got to stumble and do it. There was never a conscious thought, I'm going to write a book. Genuinely, there was never a conscious thought, I'm going to get out there and publish a book. It just sort happened. Happened. Yeah. And if somebody came to me tomorrow and said, I'd like to commission you to write a book, don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
It was something that poured out of me. Yes. It wasn't a conscious, you know, it's not fiction. It's real. It's my real life. And for me, I think when I was going through this journey, and of which I'm still very much on, and probably will be for the rest of my life. So there might be a version 2 of I don't know, 10 steps to awakening from the inside out. Who knows? But for me, it really was how do I help those people that are going through it, that are right slap bang in the middle of this strange unfolding of their lives, help them put it into some sort of structure, or so that they would know whether what stage they were at. And whilst we can go on these different stages, we have lots of different. It's not always linear. You know, you might go through a healing stage 3 steps down the line.
Absolutely.
But it was really a case of like, how do I show other people that they're not going crazy and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and don't give up. Because I think it can be really, really hard to carry on. And the easiest thing to do would be to numb out again and go, I don't want to think about all this shit. I don't want to think about the stuff that's gone on. I'm just going to drink. I'm going to drink more. I'm going to eat more. Eating was a huge thing for me. And since that awakening, I've lost 3.5 stone, and it's just kind of dropped off me. Wow. What I realise is I didn't even try. Yeah. It was because my body was so full of cortisol, which is something that's triggered when you're stressed and in a trauma response, that I ended up in hospital with digestive issues and gallstones, because I'd been carrying all of this stuff inside for so long.
Wowza. I mean, I could listen to you all. Literally, I'm like, carry on. Do you know what I think listening to you? Because of your copywriting experience and because you've written for everybody else and their stories and their truths, this was your ability to write your truth. For once, you were able to write for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's really powerful. You've written for everybody else. This was your turn.
Yeah, I think that's thank you for saying that. I think you're absolutely right. I think you've hit the nail on the head really there. Possibly before it was, I was giving everybody else a voice, but I wasn't giving myself one.
That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. That's not written down anywhere. It feels like that when you're talking. It's your turn.
And I think that's it. I'd obviously buried an awful lot, and I knew that I could write, but I was always, like you say, I was always writing for other people, and it was very empowering to give myself that outlet when I'd held it in for so long. And you'll find that, an awful lot of authors are exactly the same. They will, author, that feels a bit strange.
You
Even
are an
feels
author.
strange, but I have authored a book. It's giving them an outlet, and it's so powerful when you can do that. And even if it helps one person that's going through it, and that's a very cliche thing to say, but that's genuinely how I feel, that even if there's one person that can read it and go, oh, this is a normal stage.
Yeah.
I'm not going crazy. And it helps them see right through to the end. I feel like a completely different person, Kelly, than I did before that ceremony. I am a completely different person.
Wow. Wowza. How so?
Oh God, in a million small ways. Like when they say, how will I know when I'm healed? Like, how will I know when I get there? It's never like right, I've got there. It's how you respond when things happen in life. You're not reacting. It's not an overreaction to something that
we've just talked about this.
That you would have previously overreacted to. I don't know. Husband does something really irritating, and before you might have either not said anything, you'd have just swallowed it. And I was so conflict avoidant. Like I would never say anything. That was part of my people pleasing. That was part of the trauma response. And swallowed it. I love my husband, by the way. But, they all do really irritating things occasionally, don't they? But I wouldn't ever say anything. And I'd swallow my truth. I'd swallow the things I wanted to say. But that wasn't just with him. I'd do it with family. I'd do it with friends. I'd do it with everybody, including myself. I'd gaslight myself to death. It was ridiculous. Lost my track.
Yeah, we were talking about the overreaction and where you are today, and how you now feel you uniquely you, and there was no one moment. It's an all knowing. It's an all being. It doesn't just happen overnight. You're still learning.
Absolutely.
You're still learning.
We're all still learning. There's a point early on in your healing journey when you think, that's it. I'm in a healing honeymoon now.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever going to affect me.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever going to come along, and you go, that's it. I'm fully healed, and nobody can touch me now. Well, what a load of bollocks.
Yeah.
I mean, because life, hey,
that is so bloody
and
true.
Life comes but what I try to do now is I look at situations that come along and I go, what's this trying to teach me?
Yeah.
What lesson is it trying to teach me that I've not already healed?
Yeah.
I had a recent incident where somebody an old friend.
Yes.
There was a few little issues there, and we're no longer in contact, unfortunately. But somebody that we used to go to school with then got in contact with me, and she was accusing me of things I'd not done. The old me, oh my God, the old me would have people pleased to death. I would have over-explained myself to
the nth degree.
Eighth degree. I would have, I just would have gone completely overboard, panicked, shame spiral. Oh my God, make myself small. Don't go there. I hated the fact that people might not like me or might misunderstand me. Now, don't get me wrong. I still don't like it.
Yeah. Same.
But the new Becky, and I very much see myself as Becky, new Becky, looked at that situation and went, I am comfortable enough with who I am now to go, that's her perception. That's her issue, not my issue. No. And if you're gullible or daft enough to think that is me now, after never seeing me for 30 years, well, that's on you.
Yeah, that's
so not
true.
On me. And I wished her well, and that was it. And I those moments where you triggered, where you would have been triggered and you're no longer triggered to the same extent.
Totally agree.
Are the moments where you go, this is where I've changed.
Yeah.
Those moments where you speak up to irritating husband rather than swallowing it down.
Yeah.
Not in an aggravated way, but just to say, actually, what you did there, I didn't really like that.
You found your voice.
That's exactly it.
You are like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, I used to have a load of neck problems So I used to have really bad, pretty much every month I would end up with a sore throat. It's gone. It's gone.
So your throat chakra's completely healed.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
And I've completely found my voice now. I don't like conflict. I certainly wouldn't go out looking for it. I would still avoid it if I can do. But but that's part of life. You can't avoid conflict. You can't avoid living. And that's what you're doing when you're constantly people pleasing, when you're constantly looking outside of yourself for the answers, and you're constantly looking at other people to validate you and what you're doing. You are always going to keep yourself small. There are 8 billion people on this planet. Not every single person is going to like you.
Yeah.
That's really uncomfortable. For me, that is really uncomfortable. There are people out there that don't like me. I know that's really hard to believe. But once you can get comfortable with that, the life just kind of opens.
I agree. I think that's what's changed me as well.
Yeah.
I didn't realise. I thought I was here to be liked by everybody.
Yeah.
Because that's what gave me pleasure. Genuinely.
Yeah.
I would get at my actual, endorphins to be like, oh, my God, it made me feel amazing. That would be my, way of getting my hit, was to make sure that they liked me. And it would make me spiral if they didn't. And I'd be left questioning and left wanting and left needing and all this needy and all that sort of stuff. So that resonates with me so much. And I think any people listening that are trying to, for want of a better word, going through transformation, trying to understand, make sense of things. You've just helped people make sense of things by talking about your story, by allowing people the ability to give themselves a minute, take a breath. You're not overly precious about who you are. You're not a dick. You are totally in tune, and you gave me a minute to be completely me by you being completely you. And I think, when you'd been to spirit halls and stuff, and you were saying that these things happened to you, this inner minute that you got, an inner newness, wasn't a moment. I don't know. I'm trying to thank you for being genuinely you, because that gives other people the ability to be genuinely them.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I think once you've gone on this, I keep calling it a journey. Well, we'll call it a journey. Once you've gone on this journey, you can't be anything other than authentic, because you spent so long being inauthentic to yourself that once you've found that authenticity and you can speak your truth, you almost repelled by anything that's not authentic.
Very true.
And we live in a world, don't we, where we haven't got a bloody clue what's real and what isn't.
No.
I don't know what's real and what's fake anymore.
Yeah.
It's that old Lily Allen song, isn't it?
Yeah.
We look online and we haven't got a clue whether it's AI. We don't know.
Yeah.
But people really do know.
Yeah,
and we're coming into an age where, and I know Carol Ann talks about this a lot, about we're coming into an intuitive age.
Yeah.
Because there's so much fakery out there, people are really going to look for those people that aren't, that are really authentic. Yeah. And it's a vibe. You can't
teach authenticity.
That.
No.
You can't teach it, and you can't fake it.
Yeah.
You know instinctively when somebody is being themselves. We talk about vulnerability a lot, don't we? And I am totally up for everybody being vulnerable and just being themselves. And I think that is what we really need to do more than ever. We hide behind masks. We hide behind projections of, so-and-so's done this or so-and-so's like that. And actually it's all a projection of what's really going on in here.
So true. So true. The world that I'm in then, this real sort of juxta between fake and real. How do you, we all came as very, very different individuals when we were on the retreat. How do you feel about Botox and fillers and the spiritual world, if we can ever even just for me, it's human, spiritual, they're blending all the time. But it's a real juxta for some people.
I can understand where you're coming from. From my point of view, I can only speak from my point of view. If it's going to make you feel better, fucking do it.
Absolutely.
Like, we need something that's going to make us all feel better. But I think it depends on where it's coming from. If it's coming from a place of insecurity, I need them to think I'm okay by the way I look.
Yeah.
That's not the place to do it
Yeah.
from. If you're coming from this is going to make me feel better.
Absolutely.
Inside, give a shit what anybody else thinks.
100%.
That is you're coming from a different place.
Yeah.
It's coming from for me, would I ever have Botox? Yes, but there's a but.
Yeah.
I think for what I'm going to go and do, which is trauma therapy, I need people to read my face.
Absolutely.
I need people to see that I have lived through something.
Absolutely.
And I want people to see the lines in my face. I want these lines. I've fucking earned them.
Totally get you.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that.
So never say never.
Yeah.
But right now it's not for me. Would I judge anybody with it? Absolutely not. That is, that is completely up to them. But I would say, have a look at your reasons behind it. Are you doing it for everybody else, or are you doing it for you?
That's one of the questions that we ask.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the questions that perhaps sets me apart.
Yeah.
Because I don't just take a needle to somebody's face. It is, and meeting people like you that have done so much work in the past with trauma and things, for me, it's always been about, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
And that sometimes stops the business element. I forget I'm in a business and I need to be paid for what I do, but I would prefer to sit and talk to them about how they're feeling than them just having a treatment because they're sat in the chair and they've made the decision. So I think meeting, you and being exposed to this new world for me, these new facets, has allowed me even greater depth in what I do for a living. So I can only thank you for that as well, because you don't realise where it all fits in, the puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
You go, that's a whole, okay, get it.
But this is why, it's not, when we talk about heart-led businesses, now if somebody had told me, or even mentioned the word heart-led business a few years ago, I'd have been like, what the fuck are you talking about, heart-led business?
Same.
But it comes from a place, it comes from a place of in here. It comes from a place of integrity. It comes from a place of ethics.
Yeah.
I know somebody on one of the groups that we're friends with yesterday had said that they'd seen a few of these people that she knew, they're all popping up on Instagram or, and they're calling themselves mindset coaches, and, they've not been through
any trauma.
Well, they've certainly not healed themselves.
No.
She knows them. They've not healed themselves. And they've not been through any training either. Well, for me, if you're going in and you're messing around with people's heads and bodies, you need some training. I don't want to put myself out there and potentially hurt somebody.
Yeah.
And you could, absolutely. But that's where the integrity comes from with both your business and my business and all of these heart-led businesses. It comes from the heart. It comes from a place of honesty and integrity and ethics, and we go back to what we were saying before about, I can't remember what we were saying.
I love your fucking train of thought, because it's like mine. I just have questions. Yeah, I just can keep myself on track because I've got questions. But this is, I very, 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 very regularly go,
it goes. It seems like a really good idea at the time, and then it goes.
because you are so, but that's part of your authenticity. And one of the things I've got here is about we can easily go from crying to humour in about a minute, because of your authenticity, because it comes from a place of giving a shit. That's the thing for you.
Yeah.
It comes from a really decent place. And I think that that's what has allowed us to develop a really nice friendship. One of the things you talked about there about heart-led businesses that you talk about, allowing people to see the authenticity. If it wasn't heart-led, it wouldn't come from the same place.
No.
As ultimately was your goal there, I think. One of the things that you have had to unlearn then about what you did, or maybe copywriting keeps you there. Tell me what just one thing that you might have had to unlearn about yourself. I don't know how to answer this because I don't know. I think for me, maybe it would be along the lines of allow myself more freedom, or I need to unlearn what I've learned, all my rules, the world of rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
People pleasing, unlearning that maybe. The need to satisfy that. I'm satisfied. I never thought, I don't need anything. That's what I've unlearned. But that's something that's come from somewhere.
Source. We'll call it
the
source.
universe, yes.
Whatever you want to call it.
Whatever.
What have I had to unlearn? Oh God, a million little things. A million little things.
Yeah.
And as cliche as it sounds, I think the biggest thing for me was the people pleasing. It definitely was.
Yeah.
It definitely was. Like, I have a voice. And also, like, people, if you're posting on, if you're trying to set up a business, and we'll go back to heart-led businesses, if you're trying to set up a business, people aren't sitting there waiting for your posts. They're simply not. But when you first start posting, you think they are.
Yeah.
You overanalyze. You sit there with your hands shaking, don't you? You know, you think people are, they're reading your posts and they're going to criticize and judge and we have all these little gremlins going on in our heads. People just aren't. People are just busy getting on with their lives. Yeah. And also, even though people might not be engaging with your post, doesn't mean they're not watching.
Yeah, true.
Doesn't mean they're not watching.
True.
You know, we get so tied up in the analytics of it, don't we? Yeah, how many likes have I got? How many, impressions? But the one thing that I've definitely learned is through the copywriting business, and I post a lot on LinkedIn, is that people are always watching. I have people constantly go, I love your posts. Well, you've never engaged.
Yeah.
You've never seen. Oh, but I've been watching them for like a year, and when they're ready, they will come to you. Mm-hmm. So don't get so het up on what every bugger else is doing.
I need to learn that.
And also stay in your own lane. Like, stop looking at like what everybody else is doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't do that anymore, but I used to.
Yeah, and we all do. And sometimes I get, we feel the fear, don't we? Particularly with the marketing world. There's so much fear-led marketing out there.
Yeah.
8 out of 9 coaches fail. Don't be one of the 8. And you go on Instagram, you see it all the time. Yeah. You see all this fear-based marketing everywhere, don't you? And whilst it might, I think the one thing that really sticks with me, that somebody said to me, is that fear-based marketing might make you click. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make you stick.
Oh,
you can essentially threaten people to death with your marketing, can't you?
I like that.
But they're never going to stick around. They're never going to. You're not building a human, real connection.
Yeah, and a community.
And there's only 3 things, certainly for me, that I've realised that people want. They want good writing or good aesthetics.
Yeah.
They want good communication from you.
Yeah.
And they need you to be affordable.
Yeah.
And really, that's it.
That's about it.
That's it.
When you're looking for anything.
Yeah. And people buy people. It's a real, it's a real cliche, but they do, and they still do.
Yeah. We need to remember that.
But you have to be a person. You have to show up as a person, not as an AI, as a version of yourself, as a real life living human being that has worries and problems. And I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying that we all have to put our worries and problems out there all the time, but just be real, just be human. And I love humans. I love people.
Yeah.
And I love it when I can meet somebody like yourself, and I just feel like I don't have to hold anything back. I don't have to pretend I'm somebody else. I don't have to watch what I'm saying. I'm just me, 100% with you and the girls at the retreat. And I think when you find that, it's really, really special.
It's rare, isn't it?
Really rare.
I think it's, as you get older, it's more. It feels more rare because you've learned. Gosh, we've talked about so much. I never need to have to read anything because it always comes out, and we've covered so much ground. I knew we would. I really want us to develop this, because I think we could go into even more stuff. I think we could go really deep into allowing people that are listening to, come on the retreat with us, talk about what that meant. I think we could really go deep. So I want us to do a part 2 where we go into the book, where we talk about the retreat, where we talk about, I think that would be great.
Yeah.
And I think we should do that in the next session, because I think this is definitely, I feel like we've got stuff to talk about and allow people to have their moment based on what we've experienced, because this is new for us. This is new territory. And you don't think you're going to get new territory when you're 40 odd. So it's really exciting when you do. One of the things that we say towards the end of our session is about Reddit style prompts. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is when you, during your trauma coaching, what stuff that you've learned, you know the book, The Body Keeps the Score?
Yeah.
Have you read it?
Yeah.
I've not read it, but I've read bits of it. We've just been talking about like people asking questions on Reddit about what they might have listened to us or what they're asking. And I think this is fascinating. So somebody's actually said, how do I stop people pleasing when the guilt is unbearable?
I think it's a really good question. And you've just got to realise that the guilt is there for a reason.
Okay.
Like, you have developed this way of keeping you safe by never using your voice.
I see.
And it is a protection mechanism.
Right.
And anything that keeps us or removes us or puts us, out of our comfort zone is always going to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And there's no way around that. I'd love to be able to say that there is a magic wand that you can ping and the guilt goes. It doesn't.
No.
But just because you're feeling guilty doesn't mean it's the wrong thing to do.
Okay.
That guilt it's inbuilt in us.
Yeah.
And we are learning a different way of being. And I will say that just like anything, the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Okay. That's a really, really good response. Really succinct. And I hope that helps somebody listening, because let's face it, we've all been there. We've all had that moment. We've all felt that way. Another question that I thought was really interesting, especially really pertinent to you, is how do you trust your body after after trauma?
What trauma does is it separates your mind and your body. So I very much was all in my head. I didn't do anything with my body. I ignored and pushed down any feelings that were coming up in my body. Anxiety would take over, but I ignored it, if you like. And so for me, it was about getting to know those feelings that are inside of you again, not ignoring them. They're all, so when we feel anything in our body, it's a way of being able to notice it.
Okay.
And not push it down.
Yeah.
Like, what is it trying to teach me?
Yeah.
It's a teacher.
Yeah.
When we're feeling anxiety, for example, what would we go and do? What most people would go and do? They'd eat, they'd drink, they'd
Yeah.
It's a case of sitting with it.
Yeah.
It's
That's
a case,
fucking hard for some people.
It's really hard. It's really hard. The reason we've got all these coping mechanisms, by the way, is so we don't have to sit with it.
Yeah, I know. Caroline constantly says to me, sit with the emotion that you're feeling in the moment. I'm like, how do we do? I don't want to sit in sad. I don't want to sit in I'll sit in happy, but I don't want to feel that feel today.
And who does? Who wants to feel that feel? But until we feel it, we have to go through it.
You're right.
We completely have to go through it.
Yeah.
If we constantly push it aside, all we're doing again is self-abandoning.
Yeah, you're right. Fleur said something to us. Do you remember when we did the cold water dip? Fear, we cannot go over it. We can't go under it. We can't go around it. It's like that book for the kids. You have to go through it.
Yeah.
You have to go through every one of those feelings that is making you feel fear.
Yeah.
And when I did that with you, and that was the most powerful event I think I've ever done, that female camaraderie, that female empowerment, all those words that you start thinking, ugh, it's true.
Yeah.
And it bloody works. And it's so powerful. But that, exactly as you're saying, that what trauma does to you, you can't ignore it. Because that's how you get to healing,
Yeah.
the journey of.
Yeah. There was a point for many years, and this is going to sound very strange for people people that have never experienced it. It's something called disassociation. And it's where you've been through some really traumatic things, and whenever you're triggered to that event, you essentially dissociate from your body. And it feels like your body isn't even yours. You're in a bit of a dream world. And this would happen to me a lot. And I just thought it was who I was. And I
Right.
had no idea that other people this wasn't happening to people all the time.
I see, because it was normal to you.
Because it was normal to me.
Yeah.
And so when that trigger happens, could be even a little thing, even a smell, but because it's one of your senses, you're not necessarily. My body used to go into this sort of dreamlike state. I would almost detach from myself. That has not happened since my healing journey, by the way. That is completely fine now. It's a case of, again, recognizing when those senses are coming up. What's wrong with me? Like there was a few months back where something happened. My real biological dad got in contact, and that was quite a big trauma. You know, that was a big thing.
Reopening stuff.
And I did meet up with him, and it was fine. I got the answers I needed. But what I realised is during that period of us being in contact, I started to dissociate again. Wow. I started to feel numb. I started to think, what the hell is wrong with me? Am I going back to where I was? And I hadn't made the connection of this feeling in my body and this feeling in my mind and my biological dad getting back in contact.
Wow. And
what I did is I booked myself away for the weekend on my own. I went and stayed in a shepherd's hut on my own and did some journaling and trying to work out, like, why am I feeling like this? The old me pushed it down, overate, drank, did everything to not feel that feeling. But what I did this time is I purposely took myself away for the weekend on my own.
That's ballsy.
I knew I needed it. I knew that that's what I needed, because I couldn't allow myself to get ill again. I couldn't allow myself.
Okay. It was too
and
powerful,
so by the end of that weekend, I very much made the connection of, this doesn't feel safe for me.
I see.
And that is why my body is reacting like it is. But we don't make that connection very often. You know, we can go through life. Our subconscious is trying to keep us safe constantly. But our conscious mind doesn't know what's going on until we sit down and we feel those feelings and we just drop into ourselves and go, oh, that's the connection. That's why I'm feeling like that. This is what I need to do about it. And I came away from that weekend going, I got the answers I needed from him. I don't need a dad in my life. I'm 44. I needed a dad 44 years ago. I don't need him in my life now. I'm pleased that I got those answers, and he was a very nice chap, but actually that's not what I need. And the minute I made that decision, I was back in my body. I was back at who I am. Going back to your question, I think it is about recognizing that in yourself and not just escaping it.
Got you.
It's about sitting with it, going through it and feeling it. It's the only way through.
I completely agree. I couldn't agree more. And you've explained that beautifully, because you've given us an example as well, which will resonate with so many people. I won't unpack the why does friendship feel so different once you've started to heal, because I think we could talk about that forever. But I think it's really interesting and really pertinent, because when we came back from the retreat, you have to do New World again.
Yeah.
And New World feels weird, but you could never explain that to anybody. And you feel like a bit of a twat for talking like that. I certainly did. I was like, people are going to think I'm a bright knob now.
Yeah.
And then they are looking at me going, oh, look at you. Did you have a nice holiday? It wasn't really a holiday.
You did a lot of crying.
Far more emotional than that. But like when you go through something as profound as that and you try to explain it, it's so hard. You can't. I mean, you can.
It's so hard to explain. It's so hard to explain. Friendships, how do they feel afterwards? I love my friends, you know. There are certain friends that I've unfortunately through this healing journey had to, we just became different people.
Yeah.
When you go on a retreat like that, you come away with a whole new view of the world and the people in it.
Yeah.
And I know that you and I have spoken in the past about belonging.
Yeah.
And how, I mean, I don't like the word empath because it definitely feels a bit too woo for me. She says after writing it, maybe this is something I've got to work on still. But when you are very empathetic and you soak in the world, you don't feel like you fit in.
Yeah.
you do everything you can to try and fit in, but you don't feel like you belong, and you go through life thinking, oh God, I'm a bit of an oddball, and you're desperately trying to want to fit in, but nobody seems to understand you, and totally so you pretend and you put on masks.
Yeah. And you live a number of versions of yourself.
Absolutely. And then you come to a retreat like that where you've suddenly got this sense of belonging that you've never had in your life. And it almost feels holy. There's no other word to describe it.
Totally agree.
It's a real...
It is.
Yeah, it's a real thing, isn't it? And 100%. I totally get where you're coming from. And we have to remember that, and I do have to remind myself that we can't look at other people that haven't gone through this journey and look at them differently.
Absolutely.
And go, oh, well, I've been on this journey, because that's ego. That's your ego taking over.
100%.
Actually, I was them not that long ago. I was that person that was sat there going, well, what a load of bollocks that is.
Absolutely. We talked about that. Sam and I talked about that quite a bit, about ego, that ego state. And people that even when people start running and start going to the gym, there is an element of them that moves into this, like what they feels like the top 10% or the top, and puts them into this ego. And you've got to be really careful that doesn't take over. And I think when you're in the true place, that goes away.
Yeah.
Because you don't need anymore. Need the things, need the food, need the drink, need that you want it and you can have it and you enjoy it. But you don't have that desperateness. And that's gone in me, that desperate trying to find disappeared.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think it's that external validation again, isn't it? One of the things that really dropped in for me, whether you call it a channeled message, again, even for me, this sounds a bit weird because I'm just like, very, very weird. Like, I'm not that person that had that channel. I am.
Yeah.
I absolutely am. I was fast asleep in the garden and I literally just heard this message. You need to start living from the inside out, not the outside in. Hang on a minute. Where the fuck did that come from?
Wow.
And, you do your usual Googling, because of course you do.
Absolutely.
Well, I'd never heard that phrase before, but it's everywhere. And I see it absolutely everywhere. And for me, it's a case of it needs to come from in here.
Yeah, got you.
Your validation needs to come from you.
Yeah.
Nobody else can give you that because you're going to be searching forever. It needs to come from the inside out and not all of this stuff that comes. And hence
the 5 steps. Do you want to get it, people? She might even sign you a copy. Do you know?
You can have that, Kel.
Thanks. Can you sign it for me, please? Well, what can I say? Might drop that. I mean, thank you so much, babe, for coming on. They say a reason, a season, or a lifetime. You are a lifetime. So thank you so much. Let's do it again.
100%. 100%. Thank you so much for having me.
That's it for today's Barefaced Chat. Thank you so much for listening. If you've loved this conversation, make sure you follow, rate, and share. It really helps more people find us and join the conversation. I'll be back next week with another honest, unfiltered chat. Because skin isn't just skin. It's your story, and I'm here for it.